Hey everyone, and welcome to Hero's Journey Physio Fitness. Our mission is guiding people to reclaim their health and become self-reliant. I'm your host, Dr. Cameron Hogue, and joining me is my co-host, Annabelle Rios.
All right, we are going live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, guys, to another banger episode of Hero's Journey Physio Fitness.
Just starting strong, man.
I have to get people excited for today's topic. It's probably the common topic around this time of year, but we're doing it.
How many
spin?
Yeah, how many podcasts or blogs or whatever are going to be coming out about New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, we're talking about New Year's resolutions.
Probably not,
but we're going to get more specific though.
Ours will be better.
Like and subscribe to the podcast, guys.
Oh shoot!
Sorry, we're a little rusty. I forgot. We gotta hit ourselves.
Remember, Annabelle's in an undisclosed location in Mexico, so
so is
he's
Cam.
itching at the bit just to get the episode.
Yeah, so like and subscribe to the podcast, share it. We've been posting more on social media. Like the videos that we're posting. Oh, if you have any other, we haven't said this in a while. If you have any topics that you want us to cover, send us a DM. We've been working on some other ones too that have been recommended to us by some of our listeners. So yeah, just send them. We actually read it, and we'll prepare something for you guys. Absolutely. So I think that every year, around this time of year,
this will probably
we
come
all
out.
Sit down.
Yeah, this will probably come out into December, but you might listen to this beginning of January.
Yeah, but we all kind of sit down and start thinking. Just because it's the end of the year, you're kind of like, wow. It's like one of the few times you actually sit down and somewhat kind of sort of think about your life. You realize, oh my gosh, another year just went by. What do I want to do next year? So I wrote something for you guys. Every January, we embark on our goals with enthusiasm, only to see them vanish by February. How many of us charge into January 120%, but come to a halt by February? It's a kitchen sink approach without planning. We chase outcomes, grow frustrated with the absent results. The truth is, goals don't make you special. We all set them at the beginning of the year. What sets you apart is having clear, actionable steps. In today's episode, we're going to provide the tools not just for goal setting, but asking yourself some questions, some very important questions that maybe you've never considered. So we want you to set some time of complete silence, maybe 3 hours. I'll say 3 because some of these questions may be questions you've never asked or you have asked. You'll need a pen, paper, and eliminate all distractions. So no music, no nothing, just you need complete silence. Because in a sense, before we can even get to goals, which a goal is just literally an effort or an ambition or a result that you're after. But really, I think that goals are you trying to create something bigger for your life. And requires a lot of intentionality. We set goals not just because you want to achieve set thing, but you're after a certain life for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones. Or else why would you even set a goal to begin with?
Yeah, I think what you're saying with the whole, you should be setting goals to make a change in your life and hopefully like a positive change. And we all kind of know those people who have like no ambition, no goals. And how do those people typically get talked about? Not usually in a positive light.
I mean, you're kind of just wondering. I don't want to say aimlessly, but kind of.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know, but in their story and everything, but kind of those people are not talked about in a favorable light. So, goals are things that can make positive changes to an individual's life.
No, I absolutely agree. And therefore, I think we need to you're going to create 2 lists. So you have your pen and paper, you're in a quiet place, you're going to create 2 lists. But before we create, and these lists are going to help guide you. But before we do that, I want to play a scenario. It's the day after Christmas. And the reason I want to play the scenario is because most of the time we're not conscious of how short our lives are. Sometimes I think even in scripture it tells us to go to a place of mourning because it makes you realize how short your life actually is, how quick it can go by, how you're here today and gone tomorrow. So pretend, it's the day after Christmas and you get that dreaded call from the doctor. you receive that terrible diagnosis and you're only going to have 12 months to live, what are you going to do? I would assume most of you are going to completely reprioritize your life fully. Right? What do you say, Doc?
Oh, I mean, that's a very sobering scenario. But yeah, if you only had 12 months, you would definitely start to put things in perspective and in order that maybe were hidden behind whatever that might be, just the busyness of
whatever
life,
it might be for you.
distractions, lack thereof of ambition or goals. But yeah, it would definitely put you in a different headspace.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I guess I say that because, okay, now you're like, okay, wow, it really is going to clearly redefine everything for you. And most of us may have more than 12 months. We don't know. We don't know when that's going to be for us. And I want you to create what's called an anti-vision. So now you know, okay, it's like, wow, I don't know, maybe you only have 10 years left. You don't know how much time you're going to have left. And I say anti-vision because most of us don't really know what we want, but we definitely know what we don't want.
Don't want to be like Debbie.
It's like, yeah. So you sit down, you're like, well, what is the worst case scenario for my life that I don't want? It could be, I don't want to be overweight anymore. I don't want to have
angry
all the time. I don't want to be in a job that I hate. Whatever it is, you can easily. It's like we're working in a way backwards. You start with what you don't know, and then you can create what you do. So here are some questions that I have is, so obviously, how do you not want the rest of your life to look like? So if it was to continue today the way it is, what about it would you not want it to look like?
You're talking more like
I say
direction.
That to, your direction for your life. It's like, okay, clearly this is not the direction I want to go. Which direction do I want to go? And also with that is, what kind of person do you not want to be? So you're trying to create also an identity change here.
So this
do you want to be the same?
Maybe characteristics, are you saying? Your identity characteristics of things that you don't want to really show off to the world.
Exactly. And a lot of times, I think people can change. Maybe you don't, but maybe you can start thinking that you can. And you can change the direction of your life and your identity. And it's never too late to change. Another one, too, is I think everyone needs a why, your North Star, your almost like the reason that you are existing. So I like to say, like, what or who are you fighting for? In this case, you can say who and what are you not fighting for? Meaning, are you doing what you're doing for someone else that's not really beneficial, or it's like, why? So, instead of saying, okay, I'm doing this for my family, I want to do this for myself, or for if you believe in God. It's like you have your different reasons of why you're doing something.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're saying pretty much first thing you want them to look at is create the anti-vision. Create the anti what? Yeah, I don't know. It's like caramel or caramel. Who knows? Because most people can be like, well, I don't want to be a certain person, or don't want this to be in my life. So those might be easier for people to actually write down and create a list for.
I think so. I mean, I know you can ask somebody who's, I don't know. You can ask most people and say, well, I don't know. I think I want to do this, or I think I want to do that, or I don't want this. But but you can, I think it's easier to say, I definitely don't want this, and easily work from that and say, okay, well, what's the opposite of that then?
Well, the opposite would be what you want your life to be, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
So after you go through this, take some time. I'll read through the questions, So how do you not want the rest of your life to look like? All right. And then what kind of person do you not want to be? And then who or what are you fighting for? So after you go through this, you'll have your direction for your life, the identity of like who you want to resemble in your life, and then your why, your North Star, the reasons that you're living for. So the other list, so that was the first list. So you have your list of, okay, here's where I see myself in 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, whatever it may be. And then I want you to, and it's going to sound cliche, but I think it is beneficial. Because I think when Kevin and I were talking about that, the last time you probably dream or think about your own life, it's probably when you were like in high school or middle school, when everybody's asking, what do you want to do for your life? But then you get into the routine of life as a whole, into the day-to-day. You got kids, you got work. So I want you to think about a bucket list. And not in the typical way of, I want to go skydiving, or which it is a part, but more so of, yeah, it could be a part, but like, okay, here are some goals and aspirations for my life that I want to accomplish, whatever that might be. Like, I want to learn how to bot, or I want to learn, or I want to be able to quit my job to pursue X, or whatever it might be. So just write down all the things that you want to do in your life, whether it's a skill that you want to acquire.
Yeah, I think that can be pretty challenging because, like you're saying, it does have to start with a dream. And I think some people are pretty scared to actually either write down or say out loud what they actually want in life, what their dreams are, if they have dreams and aspirations. Because of, like, if I say it, then maybe like what if I fail? And, that kind of mindset.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so like, even if there's like, what are the dreams, like Ann was saying, that bucket list. But we do know that a goal without a deadline and a plan is just a dream. So there has to be more actionable steps after that. But I think it could be really hard for some people just to say, this is actually what I want in life. This is what I'm actually dreaming.
Isn't it kind of scary? It's like you're putting it out there, and it's like, what if it's almost like, I rather not say or write down my dreams and aspirations, because what if I don't achieve them? Then disappointment, not desperation, but then it's like, it becomes real.
What if I don't get to everything on my bucket list? Because sometimes people can view a bucket list as like you have 12 months to live, and then you don't, I got to get all these things in, and they're almost unattainable things because it's the bucket list. But we're talking more specifically about what your dreams and goals are in relation to that bucket list.
Exactly.
And that's your vision moving forward.
Yeah, isn't that... It is true. It's almost like safer not to have any dreams or aspirations that you write down.
I mean, you're not shaking the boat. You're just going to do the status quo. Whether that status quo is, pretty average, pretty good. Or maybe you're even in a bad situation and you don't like where you are, but you don't want to rock the boat or change the status quo, because what if that dream actually puts me in a worse scenario?
What if I have to go through a hard season to get there?
Yeah.
A lot of times I was reading this article about this, I think it was a nurse in Australia that interviewed, I think you may have told me. I don't know. Interviewed like hundreds of patients that were a lot older, nearing death, and they always all said the same thing. Like, one of the biggest things that they do is like regretting not pursuing their dreams.
Yeah, I don't think I told you that one, but that would make sense.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. Like, I wish I would have.
Yeah. Instead of living somebody else's life.
Yeah. All right. So you have your two lists. You have your anti-vision, and then you have your bucket list, your dreams, goals, and aspirations. We're going to try and give you some more concrete, information on how to start filling in to get from point A to point B. But there's probably some requirements that are needed on that path. So, Annabelle, do you want to start talking about some of these requirements that will help people along that A to B?
Yeah. Because we don't want to just say that it's going to be easy. And okay, now you have your bucket list, you have your anti-vision, it's all set. We're done. No, unfortunately not. Sorry, but no.
You're screwed.
But there's a lot of things. And then the first one I want to talk about, and I know we always talk about it, but you need to have the right mindset. And we talk about that in our mindset episodes. You guys need to listen to it. All right? Like it, share it. But you need the right mindset. If not, for instance, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't take ownership of your life, if you don't have that honesty where you can look yourself in the eye and say, listen, here's where I'm actually messing up or falling short. If you don't have gratitude, because you do need to have gratitude in your heart. Because there is a lot of things that you have that other people would crave to have. There's all these different mindset things that we think are extremely beneficial. Are we seeking action over inaction? It's a lot of other things that we talk about in our mindset episode. What's the other one, Doc?
So we just recently came out with an episode on habits, but in order to get from A to B, to get to those dreams and goals that you're setting, you have to build some keystone habits along the way. That's just going to help. It's just a requirement for success. You're not going to stumble along occasionally doing the right thing. It's about stringing together the right things. So a habit would be definitely beneficial to help you get towards that goal or a couple goals.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think one of the main ones was exercising, or we like to call it training.
Training, baby.
Training, so like lifting weights, and so we're gonna say here in a minute that we don't think you should have too many goals, and then you're gonna say, well, why? I wanna accomplish all these things. Like, yes, absolutely, but you're gonna have to stack a lot of these things over time. You can't try to do everything at once. I've done that in the past, and you do it all for maybe a month, but then you stop. So you have to be very specific on what you want to attack and then what you want to do. And then over time, you will build all these different things in your habits. And then somebody may look at your routine and say, like, oh my gosh, you do all those things. Like, for those celebrities or athletes that you see, Cam. I think we were talking about Tom Brady when we were doing that episode, how he does all these different things. And you're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do all that. Yeah. But he didn't do all of that from the beginning. He built it over time.
Doing all that. He even said in that interview, it's like, I started with just getting more flexible, and then I changed part of my diet, and then from there I changed more part of my diet. Then I started, trying to do more like band and strengthening around my joint. Like, it was all this slowly over time, because you start feeling better in your for him, he was winning Super Bowls, and but for maybe us, it is getting one step closer or achieving some of those mini milestones along that goal that helps kind of keep pushing us forward and wanting to keep adding change into our life.
Absolutely. And with that, there may be a season of no. And what we mean by that is saying no to things that don't align to your goals, meaning that you may need to say no to Netflix or whatever your vice or whatever the thing is that takes a lot of time away, just so that you can fully focus and commit to whatever that goal is. And so you're going to have to reprioritize. I think I heard it once, a lot of times when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, because we only have a certain amount of time. So every time you're saying yes, sometimes you're saying no to your own dreams, to your own desires.
So much of you to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the next one, Doc?
So another one would be obviously hope. You actually have to believe that you can actually achieve. You have to actually believe that you can achieve your desired outcome. You have to actually hope in that. So, it has to be a requirement, because if you're not hopeful, then you're going to be, the opposite of that is doubt. And doubt means probably inaction, because you won't actually go out and do it. So one of the requirements we say is hope.
Yeah, you need hope, or else you're like, it's unachievable. Why even bother?
And that's also why Annabelle is saying you don't set so many goals all at once that are all very lofty, because sometimes that does allow you not to have hope, because they're like so far away. There's so many of them. The best thing to do is just not do anything. So
it feels out of touch.
Yeah, it feels
with
out
reality.
of touch. It doesn't feel like there's hope to actually achieve. So that's why you go with too many and having actionable steps along the way, so the milestones you're hitting.
Yeah, and we'll get into that, guys. Be patient now.
Have some hope.
Yeah. The other one is, I've always seen this, and I know what they're saying, but the whole work smart, not hard, or work smarter, not harder. Which I understand where they're coming from and whatnot, but it still requires hard work. That's why I prefer it's like work smart and hard. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is you're still going to have to put a lot of effort into whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it is going to require discipline, because you're making a big change, a change that you're trying to do something you've never done before. And it's going to require effort. It's not second. Yeah.
It
doesn't come easy to you. yet. Yeah, so yeah, it's something that I even myself sometimes it's like, it's gonna get easy eventually, and it's like sometimes you don't want to work out. Sometimes you don't want to do whatever it is that you know you need to do because it's gonna be better for you. So that's what we mean by that.
Another one is opportunity, and this is more about access. Do you have access to the resources you need? And sometimes this access is like straight up information. I need more knowledge to actually
listen to our podcast. You know, you'll get plenty of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So like, I want to lose weight, but I don't have the knowledge on actually how to do that. So I need to go learn about that. So that way, I'm giving myself the opportunity to lose weight, or maybe it's money or like there's certain things that you need access to. I think a big one is information or knowledge. With the internet, there's a lot of access to that. If it comes to health and fitness, we recommend our podcast. We're biased, but you do need the resources to actually, go along that path from A to B.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need the opportunity, which brings you the knowledge and information you need. And another one is time. And what I mean by that is that depending on let's say you're trying to lose 100 pounds. You didn't gain 100 pounds in a year. Maybe you did, but most don't. Because I know there's always that caveat. It's like, but I did, or I did this. But we're talking about in broad terms here. Most people don't gain 100 pounds in a year.
Don't lose 100 pounds in a couple months.
And most people don't lose it. Exactly. So it's going to take time. You can apply that to any goal. And the bigger the goal is, the more time it's going to take. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're just going to sit around and do nothing while you wait. It means that you're what we're defining as time is consistency plus patience for the results. So you mean to be consistent with whatever you say that you're going to do to help accomplish that goal. And then, yes, you also do need to be patient. But patience doesn't mean you're sitting there doing nothing. It means accepting like, okay, I am moving closer every day to this. I'm not there yet, but I'm still going to continue to do this. No, even though I am not seeing the results.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, if you're saying patience is not inactivity, patience is just having the bandwidth to, wait while you are acting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We were talking earlier, you gave a really good example about graduating high school. You mind explaining that one?
So let's say it's like a really big goal that you're trying to accomplish. Like you want to lose 100 pounds, you're trying to become an entrepreneur, quit your job and make X amount of money, or you're trying to, I don't know, whatever it might be. For some reason, we can get impatient and we don't really properly plan the goals. And as it relates to high school, so most of us in the States, I don't know, I think it's 12 years everywhere. I don't know. It's 12 years of school year, right? You wouldn't go up to a second grader here and say, wow, you are so far behind. You should be done by... You're slacking, kid. What are you doing? You should be done with high school by now. How can you be so far behind? It's like, it is not to say that we have a good school system or anything like that. It's not, don't get sidetracked. It's to say, it's been broken up. They break up the school for you and they say, okay, this semester, you're going to focus on these subjects. And then it's broken down even further and further and further. All right. And guess what? And it's all leading to your big goal that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Obviously, for most, it's like, well, graduating high school is not a big goal, but it's an example that you can kind of take back and
and they should be building on themselves. Third grade, fourth grade built on third grade, which built on second grade, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And same thing how we said, like, okay, right now you're only doing, I don't know, let's say you're only going to focus this year on lifting weights. You're not going to worry about nutrition. You're not going to worry about sleep. You're not going to worry about walking or all these other things you should be doing. Because, yes, I agree. Those are all beneficial things. But you're going to say, okay, this year I'm going to start with lifting 3 times per week. Boom. And that's it. And then next year, something else, and something else, and then something else. And then before you realize, you're like Tom Brady. Well, maybe not as good as Tom Brady, but you're doing all these hints there. You're like, wow, Joe, how are you doing all these things? It's like, well, over time, you're building.
Yeah, those are some of what we think are the requirements for success in order to get from A to B, from where your dream to your desired goal. But along with that, there are some pitfalls, vices, sins that can lead us astray along that path from A to B. So one that we've alluded to a little bit already is what we would call like the kitchen sink approach, which is you're just trying to do everything at once. And a lot of people fall into that on January 1st. It's like, I'm going to the gym, I'm cleaning out my pantry, and I'm going vegan or carnivore. And then I'm going to, sign up for this and that. I want to also get back in school. And I'm going to, they're doing all these things, and you're basically not going to accomplish any of them because you're just throwing everything at it, hoping something sticks, and it usually doesn't.
But I'm different, Cam.
And you might be a little snowflake, but for the majority of us, the kitchen sink approach does not work. It is a pitfall. Beware of it. Don't fall for it.
Absolutely. And another one is I call it the motivation train. It comes and it goes, and you just keep waiting for the train to come back, and then it never does. And then 10 years go by. Oh, the train's finally here. I guess I'll hop on for a little bit.
And
yeah, you're relying too much on motivation.
And along with that, there is this another like overly relying on like the dopamine hit when you are starting something new, and that kind of can tie in with motivation, where it just feels, this is it. This feels so good, but then after you do it a couple times and everything like that, dopamine doesn't give you the same hit. And it's like, well, maybe this is not actually what I wanted, so I'm going to stop. So you got to be aware of the initial dopamine hits that make you feel really good.
Oh, yeah, that rush, that excitement.
Right.
And then you start chasing it, like, oh, wow, I'm just not motivated. Oh, I don't want to do this. And yeah. Another thing, too, that helps people get impatient with the lack of results is not having milestone markers. Because the bigger the goal is, the more almost like mini goals. You can call it mini goals, milestone mark, whatever you want to call it, that you need to actually get there. So for instance, you need to have that along the way, or else you're going to get impatient. So instead of saying, okay, I only lost X amount of weight, or if you're trying to read a book and you say, I don't know, I want to read X amount of books. It's like you need a clear marker. We'll get more into that's why I'm not talking about it now, but you need a clear way of measuring your success so it can keep you engaged along the way. Because sometimes you forget, where you started from and how far you've actually come. And you're like, I still have so much to go. Again, you're focusing on the destination, not the journey. So these are all kind of intertwined. So you need all these different markers to help you.
Makes sense, man. So those are things that can lead you astray on your path to your desired outcome, your goal. Is there anything else on that one, Annabelle? We're ready to move on.
All right. So the next thing is, all right. So we have goals. We know what our goals is. Great. You set your goal. You know what you want to do with your life and what you want to do, right? So I know we said to focus on the journey, not destination. We still need a direction, which is a goal. So most of us only set a goal, but never set the actions. What do I actually need to do? So before we get into that, I think there's 4. There's probably more. It depends how you want to break it up. But I think there's 4 major categories that most of us can set. The first one is health. So, your mind, your body, your spirit. Then you have wealth, which is like career, your money, retirement, all these different things. And then the other one that I think is really important too, that sometimes we only think about during the holidays, is relationships with our spouses, our family, our friends, and our loved ones. Am I trying to grow in that area? Am I trying to build my relationships with someone? And the last one we kind of alluded to is like, your personal list. And so if I want to go skydiving, or I want to whatever, all these other things you want to do. So you have these categories. Now, we think that it's best to only set this year maybe 2 to 3 goals. Yeah. And depending on how big they are, it may take more than 1 year.
Yeah. I think 2 to 3 for most people is a good number. Like you said, especially if they are big, it might even be lower. It might even just be one, and there's just a bunch of
It could be one, yeah.
yeah, mini goals that lead you there. But I think, yeah, two to three would allow people to
Oh, and this is like
actually,
overall. This is not per category. Before let
yeah,
me
yeah.
clarify
So
that.
it might be you pick health and two from wealth, or two from health, one from relationship. However you want to, whatever is specific for you and your
Yeah,
goals.
and some of them might be small, and there is going to be overlap with most of these too, where you're doing something for your health, so you can, I don't know, make it. Let's say you want to make a better example for your family, so you want to take care of your health, so you can get your family. So some of them are going to be connected too. So
It might allow you to play with your kids more, or
yeah,
so it could help with that. And you need to be very clear. You need to be very clear on what that goal is and what achieving that goal or success would look like. And don't be vague.
yeah. I think a lot of times we're kind of vague, but like be very, very. What would it feel like? What is it? What would it look like at the end of the day if I was truly, what would I feel, see, hear? You go through your senses. When you get very, very clear, it's going to help it come alive.
Yeah. And then also, because it is a goal in your dream, you should have the why. Like, why did I want to do this? That can give you
why is it important to you?
Yeah. Because if there is no why, it's the odds of it actually getting achieved is going to be lower. Even if that why is like, because my coach told me that I need to get stronger, like that is still that is still a why. But it might even go deeper. Like,
I hate my coach, so I'm gonna prove him wrong.
Right. Or
maybe
that's
fine. I mean, everybody's why is different.
And maybe that why then turns into, well, I did want to play college sports, so that's actually, I'm doing it because of that. That's my why. So you need a why for these goals.
You do. It makes it a lot more tangible. It makes it feel more alive. So now you have your goal. You write down whatever it might be, and now you need the actions. Okay, here's the actual planning that we were talking about. Because you can have your goal, and you can be very clear on what it looks like and this and that. But like, how do I actually get there? So these are the steps. So I like to reverse engineer the goal. And one that we've talked about is like the losing weight. All right, so you want to lose 100 pounds, most likely 2 years, maybe more. And then you work backwards. Okay, so then you break it up into, okay, this year I'm going to achieve X amount of pounds, and then break that into months. So then those are the different milestones that you have. Okay, now what are the action steps that you're going to do? It can be, and so this is why we say only 2 to 3 goals, because then you may have a lot of different actions that you need to achieve that. And we talked about stacking. So maybe you can only start with one thing. So maybe your objective is to walk every day for, 8,000 steps. And that's all you're going to focus on. And then you add some more. And then you add some more. I know you're going to say, oh, that's nothing. I should be doing all these things. Like, yes, you should be doing all those things, but you're trying to do them too soon. You need to stack. And we will stack. And in some cases, we're not going to stack because we're going to be doing something more challenging. And you're going to keep progressing and moving forward. So for each goal that you set, you want to set a few different tangible action steps to help you get there. But be patient about it. Don't try to do too many at once. Only set a few. And sometimes it may not. So here's another thing too. A lot of times we think about adding things like, oh, I need to add exercise. I need to add eating whole foods. I need to add, or it could just be, I'll stop drinking soda, or I'll stop eating takeout all the time. That is also something you could do. So there's like different approaches to this. Set a few different things you want to do to help you achieve your goal, something that you can actually do. And like I said, really think about how long will this goal realistically take.
Yeah. It's all about being real with yourself, and then also having the knowledge to know, like with the 100-pound example, what is a realistic amount of weight to lose in a month. So you actually have to have that kind of knowledge. You need to go research it, figure out.
Listen to the hero's journey. What
is the appropriate amount of weight, and then you build from there. Well, if 5 to 10 pounds is reasonable, then that would mean by month whatever I would be at this many pounds of weight loss, which means this week I need to do this. And actual steps is I'm going to start walking, like Annabelle said, and it's going to start at 500, 1,000, 5,000, and building up to 10,000 steps or whatever that might be. But they have to be actionable and they have to be scalable.
Absolutely.
And I think Annabelle has another thing on here that so one of the examples that Annabelle had told me a while back was like, a lot of people say, because we're like, we need to do a book club, Annabelle. We need to read some books and maybe get a couple other people in on it. And Annabelle goes, that's great. How many books you want to read? I'm like, at least one a month. And he goes, Cam, that's not a good goal. And I'm like, what? He's like, it needs to be more actionable. Say, well, how many pages are in that book? And I was like, this many. He goes, so that means you need to read 20 pages a day. That's your actionable step. I was like, oh. I've got my thing that I got to do on the daily, or maybe it's 3 times a week I read 60 pages and so whatever it might be. But I was like, that's a better way of looking at it versus like I'm going to read 12 books in a year, 1 book a month, 20 pages a day. And that really breaks it down. And then you go into like, well, I'm going to do it usually first thing in the morning or right before I go to bed. I'm giving myself 2 windows to get that thing done. And there you broke it down to almost the minute of how you're going to accomplish that.
And that makes it way easier to think about. Because and then we'll get, so what, after you said all these things, you set all your goals, your vision, your bucket list, we need to be in the moment, in the present, because that's where all the magic's happening. And like Cam said, okay, that's like a great goal. It's just 20 pages a day. For you, it might be walking, and it may not be daily for all of these things. I understand that, but you try to get it to that point. For instance, let's say I was reading this thing the other day where this author was talking about these books that he wrote. Okay, the name's escaping me, but he said I would just sit down and said every day, no matter what, I want to write for an hour. That's it. That was his saying because he wanted to write all these books, and then he eventually did. So same thing with all these things that we're telling you. So you'll get it. You'll get it to the point where you're doing this daily task. Yeah, whittling down. There you go.
The V.
The V. Because most of us just stay up here but never get to the day-to-day task.
Yeah, I like that, man. And thanks for the wake-up call on the book club. So appreciate that. Also,
here's something too. So you set your anti-vision, you have your bucket list, you're very clear, you set some clear milestone markers that's going to keep you engaged along the way. You've set some actionable steps too. Now the other thing too that I think is important is that sometimes we let life get in the way and we forget about our goals. I know it's crazy, we forget about our goals, right? But everybody says it. It's like, oh my gosh, life just got in the way, and then poof, it's December.
Oh yeah.
I paid for the gym membership for a whole year.
They got my money.
I think it's so easy. So for that, we need some mandatory check-ins with ourselves. It's literally a check-in with yourself and say, all right, Annabelle, how are we doing? And we're going to have a weekly and then a quarterly. The weekly, it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. It's just a quick check-in with yourself. You're going to have complete silence and saying, okay, how did I progress this week? And this doesn't have to be like a negative or a positive thing. It's just like being realistic with you. Okay, how did I progress this week? Oh, okay. I moved forward or I moved backwards. And then also another question is, what should I have done differently? Maybe you set unrealistic actions. Maybe you need to pivot. Maybe you need to consider your goal. Or maybe you realize, you know what? Maybe whatever the thing is that you say, because maybe you wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And then you're like, you know what? Now that I've actually started, I was like, it's not for me. And you just completely drop it. I don't know. Whatever it may be that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So put it on your calendar. Whatever, to pick a day. It doesn't matter. I have mine set for Fridays right now. And you just pick a day. You just review it. Take 15 minutes. Say, okay, how am I progressing? And I think for me, I find it beneficial since we're forgetful at times. And you will go weeks without doing whatever said goal is. But having this consistent weekly reminder, like, oh, I kind of have fallen off the wagon a little bit. All right, time to get back on. Because it's human nature, and that's why we have our different mindset rules of trying to prevent the downward spiral from happening. That's really the key.
I've heard a couple good things on this. One that I do, and one that I haven't done but I've thought about is when you have that goal, like you're saying, have these weekly check-ins, you can't have things that remind you about it daily. So it's not that you're necessarily checking in with yourself, but it's reminding you. It's like I have sticky notes on my mirror in the bathroom. So like every morning and night and all that, when I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, I see my actionable steps that are leading me to my goal, and I'm reminding myself every day. And that's what I do. Another thing that I heard that's really good, if it's maybe a little bit longer, like a business plan or something that's a little bit more wordy, you can record yourself on your phone or your device, and on the way to work you play it, and it just reads your goal and maybe even the steps within that goal to you, keeping it fresh on the forefront of your mind. End of the week or whatever, you reassess and go, how was I this week on that path? And then, as Anna was saying, there needs to be also a quarterly check-in, a couple times a year. You're just talking quarterly, being like once every 3 months or 4 months, something like that?
Yeah, every 3 months, and very similar to kind of like I like that game. I've heard something similar too, where this guy was talking about how he prints on a one sheet of paper his goals and the actions he's taking to achieve those goals. And it's so important. Just literally, sometimes you have to have it on your right in front of you, because the busyness of life, it just creeps in, and then you forget, and then you get into your routine, and then boom, you wake up. Oh my gosh, it's already been 3 months. I haven't done anything. So, like Cam said, put it in your mirror, put it somewhere visible to you. You can even put it on your phone, on your lock screen. I just thought about that too. You put it in your lock screen. Like, oh, okay. Here are my goals for the year. Yeah, I did that for a little bit. Then people kept asking me. I was like, don't worry about it. What's on your phone? I was like, it's personal.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own business. So the quarterly check-ins, and don't overcomplicate these. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Like I said, just for the weekly check-ins, how did I progress this week? And then is there anything I should do differently?
Yeah.
The quarterly check-ins is very similar, but a little bit different. Obviously, at the one at the end of the year, it's you're looking forward into the new year in the things you're trying to set. And then the other ones are kind of just checking in on that. So meaning, how did I progress this quarter? Am I still on track? So you're really just doing what's called, in business, you kind of hear it called a post-mortem. And it's also a pre-mortem. So meaning after you've done a project, you kind of take a second to review everything, what went right, what didn't go right, what could we have done differently. And that's what you're going to be doing. This shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. So you're going to do that for each quarter. Okay, how did I progress? So your post-mortem, what could I have done differently and better, change? And then we're going to do what's called a pre-mortem. You have this upcoming quarter. You want to think on what foreseeable obstacles are in this quarter. A lot of them are foreseeable. I know a lot aren't, but most things are. They could potentially derail me. Oh, I have this wedding, or I have this vacation, and you can prepare for it. All right. So it doesn't mean you don't get to enjoy your vacation, or you don't get to enjoy the wedding and eat cake, or whatever it might be. But you're thinking about it. You're planning for it. You're preparing for it.
You are reacting. You are not being reactive. You're being proactive. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And that's why it takes a lot of work. You know, you can't just stumble upon your goals and then like, I achieved it. I'm here.
Can't believe that just happened.
Wow. I just got a six-pack out of nowhere.
Said no one ever.
And then another one too. So you have those two. And another one that I think is also key is what fears or limiting beliefs are hindering my progress? That one's one that I haven't done until recently. And I was like, Is there something that was in me that I believe that's holding me back? Potentially, it could be nothing.
I can be honest on this one too, where, you know, for a while we were trying to post more things on social media, because we are trying to grow our brand and grow the podcast and our business and everything. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the best at it. I still don't love posting videos and like all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like I guess a fear of mine was to just be publicly on the internet, it's talking about things for fear of people coming at you or questioning your your schooling or your whatever it might be.
Oh man, yeah.
So we have been doing more. So I'm trying to get over that, but that's something that as that last year, at least for our podcast, has come along, we were able to look back and say, hey, this is what we need to do different. But this is kind of a fear, and moving forward, this is the path we need to take. We need to do it, and we have been trying to do that. So,
no, absolutely, and I still don't like my voice, guys. I don't like my voice, so I don't even listen to our own podcast. I think I've only listened to the first 2, maybe 3.
You need to give us more views, man.
I know, I need to. So it requires a lot of work, guys, and it's doable. Some of these are things that we've done. Some are newer things that, as I've been thinking, I was like, okay, I think this could help not just me, but in Cam, but also a lot of other people.
And a lot of these, everything that we've talked about on this podcast, we have been trying to implement in our own lives and in our business. So we have seen that it's working for us. It's also worked for a lot of other people. This isn't just stuff we just made up. It's things that we have researched and tried to learn about.
Yeah.
And we do believe that
this has been 31 years in the making.
That's right. And we do think that, following these actionable steps can help you achieve your goal this year or in the years to come.
Absolutely. So I guess a quick recap before we close off. So you need to have a vision for your life. And then within that, you have your bucket list of things that are going to fulfill that vision. And then, yes, you'll have your goals, which you're going to step up. More importantly, you're going to have your actions for that. You're going to be real clear. You're going to have your check-ins with yourself. Make sure you're keeping yourself on track. Because as you get older, I heard this once. I can't remember where I heard it. When you're a kid, you have parents who tell you what to do, how to guide you, keep you accountable. But at some point, you don't. And you're going to have to parent yourself. You're going to have to keep yourself in check. You're going to have to say, all right, Annabelle, no, you got to do this. Because nobody else is going to do it. You have to do it for yourself. So you need these check-ins.
Yeah.
And then I think that's all that I have. So call to action, set some time to yourself, meditate on these, write out what you want to do, set your calendar for the weekly check-in and the quarterly check-in. Doesn't matter. Just once every 3 months, have a check-in with yourself. Is there anything else you got, Doc?
No, I think this episode is more on you going and trying what we're saying. It's good in theory, but until you get pen to paper, until you actually set that time, like Anna was saying, and until you actually start to execute, you won't see the change. But I think once you start seeing the change... It only
works if you work.
Right. And I think once you start to see it, this episode will come more to life or will pop.
Yeah, right. You're like, boring. Let's skip.
Well, we didn't say that you could lose 100 pounds in a month and, kind of promising things that aren't actually achievable. We're actually giving you advice on how to achieve these goals in a realistic and almost an affordable way, but in basically a realistic way.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think a lot of times we all want a template, which is great, but sometimes you need to create your own plan for yourself.
Yeah, it needs to be customized to you, not someone else's template. It needs to be your template.
Mm-hmm.
But as we always tell you guys, just remember that you are human, and you should not seek perfection, but just daily improvement. All right?
That's it. See you guys.
See ya.